the norms and standards that we have set for
Mm.
student accommodation, especially private student accommodation, which is not owned by the institutions. But it's a
Mm.
matter that we are looking at as part of the student comprehensive student funding strategy that we are developing at the moment.
Okay, and we well, students should also not be worried about the exhaustive exercise which we undertook to categorize them in five cohorts, which is the first time entering was SASA beneficiaries, returning students, and also first time entries who are not necessarily a SASA. That categorization has got nothing to do with the actual who qualifies and who doesn't, and that this is completely separate from the criteria that we've set for NSFAS funding, because I think there is some concern that I've heard about that as to why we categorizing students into five cohorts.
Yeah. No, this categorization is largely an administrative one
Yeah.
for purposes of processing the students to say there are different categories of students and that requires different processes. Let me make an example. First time entering student who is a SASA beneficiary, we immediately check with SASA and we are able instantly, we are linked to the data at SASA. So
Yeah.
we are able to respond immediately to say you qualify or you don't qualify. Now that's different from returning students. First
Mm,
time entering students apply to NSFAS for the first time.
mm,
But continuing students, they don't apply. All they have to do is that their institutions have got to give their results to NSFAS. If they have met the criteria for progression, they are automatically funded. So
mm.
that's not the same. That's why we've got these categories of
Exactly.
first time entering students who are SASA beneficiaries, returning students who are SASA beneficiaries. They don't have to apply from scratch. There's also another category of students who are already, say, at university or college, who have not been funded by NSFAS. But because their conditions might have changed, now they qualify, even if they may be doing second year or third year, they now qualify to apply for NSFAS, particularly in the wake of COVID-19. Some parents who were affording to pay are no longer
Yes.
affording. They are also then given an opportunity to apply. So this is just for purposes of administrative management of the process. It's not for purposes of discriminating between the students.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think the most important point to emphasize is that students who may not have qualified when they were doing their first year, but now find themselves in a situation where they do qualify, are going to be encouraged to, to apply, because that's been one of the, frequently asked questions out there. But I want us to go back briefly, Minister, to the achievement, because very few countries have a national student bursary of this nature, which caters for so many students. And I think when we are talking about the achievements of the NSFAS yesterday in the statement, part of the things which I think you lifted up included the fact that we have an increased number of female students who have been funded, which is quite significant. I think an increase to about 30.6%, and also an increase in terms of working class and poor students in terms of funding, which really has an impact in not only the current but into the future, human resource development needs of our country.
Yes, you are right, DM. I think these are some of the achievements, that one can count.
Mm,
For example, students now, NSFAS in 2018 had 61.4% of its beneficiaries being women. It's gone
mm,
up now in 2020 to 61.5% of all
mm,
the students that are funded, which, by the way, now that's similar to female undergraduate profile
mm,
demography, that it's Just over 60% of all university students now are females. So NSFAS as assistance is actually in line with that, which is quite a huge achievement. And also, when we are looking just at numbers of students that we are supporting, NSFAS has last year been supporting 751,858 students,
Mm,
with 489,912 being university and 261,404 being TVET college students. TVET college students, almost as you say, 90% plus are funded by NSFAS. But what
mm,
is also now interesting with the universities is that we are funding slightly more than half of all undergraduate
mm,
students are NSFAS funded, which means our system now is almost entirely dependent on NSFAS funded students, which is
mm,
a huge achievement. That is why, DM, I would like to put it bluntly that those who say there is no free higher education in South Africa, they are not speaking the truth. We have free higher education for the children of the working class and the poor, which is
mm,
government focus in assisting the working class and the poor. So these are some of the achievements that are very, very, very important. The other achievement, by the way, by NSFAS is that our own statistics is telling us of the university students, just to make an example there, that NSFAS students on average perform better than the rest of than non-NSFAS students at
yes,
university, which means
yes.
that this assistance is really making a huge and positive impact. Also, take into account, DM, that possibly now more than 60% of the students were recipients of a child grant.
Mm,
Firstly,
mm,
means the child grant by government in itself is enable students to access, to be able to
mm,
make it to actually access higher education. And as I say, the fact that the NSFAS students are on average performing better, it's actually a huge advance and a huge achievement.
mm, mm.
Mm.
No, no, no. That's quite interesting. Now, next week, Minister, on this same space, we're going to be discussing some of the available opportunities, particularly for postgrad students.
Yeah.
We're going to try and get, for instance, the National Research Foundation, Fund, and a whole range of private sector-led funding initiative which caters for postgrads, but also for the missing middle in terms of opportunities that are available. But you've also asked the ministerial task team to look at this. Because obviously there's a concern that for those who qualify for NSFAS, the window has been open, so the long and the long-standing issue of the missing middle.
Yes. Uh, as I said, this ministerial task team is looking into all those matters.
Yeah,
The NSFAS students themselves, the
yeah,
viability of the scheme
yeah.
going forward, and we are also looking at the issue of the missing middle.
Mm,
What kind of scheme can be found, which possibly is going to involve the private sector because that's beyond government's.
mm. Okay, and then we're concerned about
How
some
can
fraud. Uh-huh.
help them,
Okay.
as well as postgraduate students.
Yes.
Yeah, as well as
Yeah.
postgraduate students. Also, we are looking at where can one be able to get more resources, for instance, to increase the numbers of postgraduate students, which would be good for our economy and good for our skills.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
Now, when you go to campuses, Minister, both TVET college and universities, you always accosted by students who say NSFAS hasn't paid my allowance for this and that. So, firstly, maybe let's cover let's touch on what allowances the NSFAS covers, and with the new system, the possibility of students not getting their allowances on time. Um, you know, uh, have we addressed that?
Well, those things are actually addressed. I would say that despite the fact that there are challenges of delays in some instances, on the whole, NSFAS is actually paying on time.
Mm,
Remember the allowances. It's tuition fees, it's accommodation, it's food, it's learning materials, plus the 290 rands pocket money, if I can call it
mm,
that. The
mm.
living allowance.
Yes.
NSFAS does pay all those things. Of course, we do get queries on students who have not been paid. Usually, the reason for that is maybe the institution's not providing data on time on whether
Mm,
students have progressed or not. So those kinds of administrative inefficiencies. When I visited NSFAS the other day, I emphasized to them to say, look, I want them to jack up their system of dealing with complaints.
mm, mm, mm,
You know, I think because we find ourselves in the ministry, for instance, having to deal with complaints, yet we
mm,
don't have the capacity to be able to really deal with these kinds of complaints. So what I've emphasized to NSFAS is that we need to have a system that is going to deal with every complaint. There must be a turnaround of 24 to 48 hours to be
mm,
able to say what is the problem, with the student and so on. Yeah.
mm, mm. Okay. Now, the last few minutes, Minister, I want us to touch on the responsibilities for the students, because I mean, if you look at what the country is investing in each and every one of the students for them to go to a university or a TVET college. It's a huge investment over a 3 to 4 year period, uh, depending on the diploma, I mean, certificate, diploma, or degree which they're studying. We've had we've gotten into a lot of fights with the students organizations, for instance, saying, look, you need to increase the time at which students are required to the N plus rule, for instance. And I think the question of the responsibility of each and every student who is a recipient of a state bursary has to be emphasized.
Well, DM, as you were saying, there's no country, maybe with the exception of Cuba, that actually gives this kind of comprehensive assistance that we give. Nowhere else in the world. And therefore, the duty of the students is to aim to finish on time. If it's a
Mm,
3 year degree or diploma, aim to finish it on time. Now,
mm,
because we have been having our understanding that many of our students come from disadvantaged backgrounds, and the transition from school to university is not an easy one. We have
mm,
allowed what we call N plus one, which means we allow you to fail once.
mm,
I'm not aware of any other country that does that.
mm,
If you fail, you out. Because we must remember the number of students you keep in the system beyond record time, we are depriving money for other students who are supposed to be coming in. In fact,
mm,
that's selfishness, if truth be told, because we are depriving others, or who are actually are deserving as well. So
mm,
how can you justify that this one deserves more to stay longer at a university or a college than the other one who is outside, who is actually not benefiting from that? So the issue of N plus one, well, also, NSFAS, nevertheless, though, have said there are those who might have failed for reasons that are understandable. Either they were not well, they were
mm,
ill, or there were other reasons that are convincing. That's why NSFAS has actually said that they're going to open for students to appeal
mm,
so that we give them a chance that if really there is a genuine reason, then their situation will be reconsidered. Otherwise, the duty and of the students is to learn and pass and aim to finish on time. That is
mm,
the message that we actually need to be taking up. We can't be having students demanding of government free higher education for the working class and the poor. But then on their side, they don't actually work hard. We expect them to work hard.
mm,
No country
mm,
just gives out its money and then it doesn't care how that money actually gets used. So we urge students to grab this opportunity with both their hands because for many of them, they would never have seen a door of a university or a college without NSFAS. And many of them come from families where there's never been a university or a college graduate ever in the lineage, the history of their families. So it's very important to emphasize that students must work hard and
Yeah,
aim to finish on record time.
yeah. One more before you go, Minister. Do 350 grant beneficiaries qualify for NSFAS funding? I just picked this up from one of the tweets.
No,
No. Okay.
you're talking about the 350 rand grant.
Yes. Those who are
If
beneficiaries of that grant, do they qualify for NSFAS?
if they apply and they get accepted, yes, they qualify for NSFAS. But the moment they get NSFAS, they can't then continue on the 350 rands grant.
Exactly, because the
Yeah,
NSFAS bursary
it,
is much more bigger than
it's much more bigger, and it's a grant in itself. You
exactly,
know.
exactly.
Yeah.
But thank you very
Yeah.
much, Minister. We will definitely invite you again on the space for us to have a chat on whatever pertinent issue that we believe we should engage with you on issues relating to the post-school education and training. But thank you very much. Enjoy the
Thank you very
campaign.
much, dear. I didn't know you are such a great interviewer. Thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah. You see, there's some future for me to take over from some of the people who are running our radio stations. I'm
I know,
joking. Thank you
absolutely.
so much. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much,
Thanks.
dear.
Bye. Yeah,
All
but
right,
we
bye
also
bye.
have Thanks. Bye. We I'm going to bring in the CEO of the National Youth Development Agency, Wasim. Wasim, are you in?
Yes, I am. Greetings, Minister, and greetings, Deputy Minister.
You've been in partnership with NSFAS for quite some time, and part of the expectations on your part is to deal with the applications. Now, explain to us how this works.
Thank you, Deputy Minister, and I think greetings to all of the young people on the platform. So, to provide some context to our discussion today, about 5 years ago, the National Youth Development Agency and the National Student Financial Aid Scheme entered into a partnership with one another. But both of our mandates are very similar in nature because we work both predominantly with young people. NSFAS works primarily with young people in the higher education sector, NYDA with young people outside. But colleagues will know that NSFAS doesn't necessarily have service delivery channels or a network of offices through which it delivers its services. And therefore, it made institutional sense for us to partner with one another where young people wanted to apply for the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, that they could do so through NYDA offices. So the partnership kicked off around 2016. It has grown and evolved over a number of years. We've taken many learnings from the partnership. But effectively, what happens is that young people are placed as interns in NYDA offices across the country. Those interns are are schooled in how to assist young people in preparing and filing their NSFAS online applications. But I think we also know a major challenge outside of young people who may struggle with online application is the printing of documents that may need to be uploaded onto the system. I think we also know in South Africa the costs and challenges with access to data. And the partnership is really proven to be well beyond all of our expectations. Yeah, I think over the last 4 years, more than 60,000 young people have registered for NSFAS through NYDA centers, and it's really heartwarming to see the many young people who show up at NYDA offices who are able to find assistance. Particularly as we get closer to the deadline, and I suppose today is also encouragement that young people the offices are open from Tuesday onwards, that we shouldn't leave it for the last moment. But as we get closer to the deadline, NYD offices extend their working hours so that we can process as many applications as possible for young people. And then I think the one thing that's been inspiring from our perspective is that we've been able to help NSFAS reduce a major cost that would have been on their income statement, and they can redirect the funding that they would have spent on rental towards additional funding for young people, but also deepening accessibility of government products and services, and really showing what joined up government looks like. That, Deputy Minister, in summary, is what our partnership looks like, and really just an encouragement for young people. I think we also know that COVID infections in the country are now at an all-time low. So now is really the best time to get out there if you need assistance with your NSFAS application, to check the NYDA website, check the NSFAS website, look for the office closest to you, and be there next week to file your application and access what is a great opportunity. Maybe just one final point to add, DM, is that for the young people who are applying, 91% of NSFAS graduates are employed. Yeah. Some of them are even employed in global roles around the world. Some of them are trendsetters. Yeah. Making the decision to apply for NSFAS, working hard at your matric exams, and making sure you qualify for higher education is the one greatest promise of social mobility for our young people. Thank you, Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Wasim. So NYDA offices are open all over the country, and if you want to apply for your NSFAS, go approach them. They'll help you upload your documents and all of that, and then help you to become eligible for. Help you to ensure that the process becomes as smooth as possible. Let me bring in Kagiso, and then we'll open up for those who are part of the space. If you want to ask questions, if you want to make a comment, but preferably questions, please send a request to speak or raise your hand, and then we'll grant you that opportunity. But Kagiso, how are we going to reach all the matriculants who are going to pass this year and tell them the NSFAS is open? What's there in place from the NSFAS for us to reach out to the hundreds of thousands of matriculants who are waiting in bated breath as to whether are they going to be going to a university or a TVET college? Kagiso?
Deputy Minister, good afternoon.
Yes. Good afternoon.
I just missed your last point.
Sorry. My question is how are we going to reach out hundreds of thousands of matriculants who may not know that the National Student Financial Aid Scheme exists?
Okay. Thank you very much, Deputy Minister, and good afternoon to everyone on space. We are going into various partnerships as NSFAS with entities that will help us stretch our reach across the country. Firstly, the aim is to make sure that all applications come through to us online, because it's simple. And online applications, as the minister had said earlier, if you are part of a particular category of students, you will almost get instant feedback of your application. So we are partnering with the National Youth Development Agency to ensure that we are able to use all their facilities across the country for the applicants who do not have access to connectivity, do not have computers and internet and things like those. We are also, we have actually zero rated our website with the help of MTN, the help of Vodacom. We are still engaging Telcom and other providers. Zero rating our website means that when you go into our website, NSFAS website, using your cell phone, you can access the site and submit application even if you don't have data. And I think that talks a lot to reaching out in terms of ensuring that those who may be having the smartphone may be able to apply. So, in simply put, you can use your sister, your brother, your relative's cell phone number to apply, which will take less than 10 minutes to do that. We are also targeting schools with disabilities. We have identified all of them in the country. We are making material available and processes available to assist those schools in reaching out to learners to apply. We are also reaching out to different organizations that deals with differently abled students and learners. And we believe that through those forums, we will be able to encourage a higher uptake of, of funding. We are also engaging the Department of Basic Education. We do know that all teachers, especially the life orientation teachers, play a much bigger role in career choice of learners, and more so that at most schools, especially in Gauteng and in other provinces, there is connectivity. So learners that are going to school and are writing, they may spend 2 to 10 minutes to apply for NSFAS funding. But also the reason we are sharing this with the schools is that schools also do have a means or a platform of reaching out to learners who may not be physically coming to school every day. We are also working with provincial education departments. We have written to MECs of provinces, informing them that the applications are open. In this sense, Deputy Minister, we have seen a lot of provinces like Free State, Gauteng, KZN, the Western Cape, um, taking a lead in assisting NSFAS to reach out the most rural areas and the disadvantaged. Also, in this process, we see premiers also engaging with municipalities, municipal managers, and mayors are also helping us in maximizing our outreach. In short, Deputy Minister, I think we are, as NSFAS, we are doing our best we can. And where we can't, we rely heavily on our partners, whom we think they may have the resources. And we actually should be calling upon many other organizations that deals with youth, deals with students that have means of reaching but do not have means of understanding NSFAS. We are available to pass material, provide training, and to do with the best support we could get. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Yeah, like I said, do you have any question for the NSFAS, for any of our panelists, Wasim and all of that? Do request to speak, and then we'll allow you to ask questions. Otherwise, you can also still tag me on my tweet on my Twitter, and then we can then raise your question with any of the. With the panelists that we have now. Now, Kagiso, the new system. The minister said 48 hours at most to accept. To issue out a funding decision.
Yeah.
Rooms for appeal and all of that. What's going to happen?
The good thing about the 2022 application process is that if you are in one of the first categories of students whose data is always available at NSFAS, even before you start to apply, is that NSFAS will tell you that with the data we have in our system and with the declaration which you have just made, you have ticked all the boxes. You are good. wait for January and register. Now, there are those where the system will say, well, from what we have and what you have given us, we need more, in order to conclude our decisions. That's when we include SASA and other agencies that checks that part.
Mm,
However, should it happen that within 48 hours we come back to you, we say, look, you are not successful.
mm,
Immediately when you get that response, there will be an opportunity to apply as well.
mm,
Meaning, this year, our process allow a dual process.
mm,
You can apply for funding, get declined, and you can appeal during the same period of application window.
mm.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Risuna, before I take Muzi and Vuyo and Gabriel, I want you will be having an information dissemination drive throughout to encourage students to apply for NSFAS. Risuna? Okay, we'll take Risuna later on. Let me take Gabriel. Questions, Gabriel?
Thank you, Minister. And good afternoon. Minister, I'm apologize for just
Good afternoon, DM. You were breaking a bit today. I'm having issues with network.
Can you hear me?
Just to recap, I'm not sure if I heard you correctly. So, may you please just repeat that? DM?
Resuna, I'll come back to you just now. We ask Gabriel to ask a question. Gabriel?
All right, thanks, Minister. Is Gabriel here a beneficiary of NSFAS?
Yes.
Am I audible now?
You are too low, Gabriel.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes, like I was saying, thanks for the opportunity, and I'm a beneficiary of NSFAS. I have diploma and degree in marketing. I have
Okay, you're breaking a bit, Gabriel. In the meantime, let me ask Muzi. We'll get back to you once you have your network sorted. Muzi, you've got a question?
Oh, yes. My question is, last year I applied for funding and I was eligible to NSFAS. Unfortunately, I didn't get a school. So this year I've already got accepted at an university institution. So my question is, do I have to start all over again and apply, or what will be the process?
Okay. Kagiso? You want to respond to that?
Yes, DM. In fact, I nearly said those who are struggling to reach you, DM, they can DM. No pun
Okay.
intended.
Yeah.
Yes, my
Got it.
response is yeah. So if a student they can apply again, DM. They can apply again because what we have not done is that we have not considered them for funding this year, so they're no longer in our system. So it's much better that they reapply for the following year. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Vuyo, you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. I'm doing marketing management diploma this year. So I was only funded for the first semester and I failed one module. So the second semester, they said that my bursary is forfeited. because I didn't meet the academic requirements. So I would like to find out what exactly are the academic requirements, because I feel like I have passed at least 70% of my modules. So I would like to know the requirements, and also that I owe for the second semester, I owe the college money.
Okay. Kagiso, you want to take that?
Yes, DM, thank you very much. I think it may be a bit complex, more so that the student says they have passed more than 50% of the program. I do know at colleges, there are trimester modules, and then you apply. That's why at colleges we have a different application cycle. But once you get it, you get it. So maybe let's take on the side. Let's take the contact details, because this depends on the module. If the student module is a major, and the student fails the major, so then the student has not progressed. So we need to look at it on the side. Thanks.
Okay, so which means you must just send us your details. You can send me your details, and then or send them to Kagiso. He's here, and then he can help you follow up with that. Now, there's someone, Kagiso, who's asking if you're still funding B.Ed students.
We are still funding students that comes through the Funza Lushaka program.
Okay.
The department has issued list of courses or program that are being phased out, and my understanding was that Bachelor of Education on its own, it is funded by NSFAS, but the big program is within Department of Basic Education, which is Funza Lushaka.
Okay. Is it possible to agree to fund someone, and I'm going to read it the way they asked it. So it says you apply NSFAS, you apply and they approve, and then jiggy they don't want to pay everything. You are left owing the university a huge debt. Does NSFAS fully fund as per application and all of that, or do you partly fund?
If a student entered the higher education sector before 2018, such a student would have been a student that falls within the category of 122,000. But after that, 2018, those are students that are getting a full government program. However, if you are funded, NSFAS will pay all your program. If you have a module which you are repeating, and NSFAS has already paid, we can't pay you for 3 times or 4 times for one module that you are failing. But generally,
Sure.
the principle is we fund fully your program. We do have situations, and I think this could be the case, where those students that have entered higher education before 2018, we used to fund per cap. Maybe the cap used to be, we were funding maybe up to 70,000. Now the student is studying, we have to pay everything. NSFAS has to do its own adjustments to top up. That's why the payment that reflects on the student's account could have been a certain percentage with some fees outstanding. We usually cover that when we do our closeout report, meaning the last year university is asked to submit students' outstanding fees, then we can settle them. Did I complicate the issue for the student? Yeah.
No. I think we're good. Let me text Fiso. Sfiso Mahlangu, and then I see Lisa Lee is also online. We're going to take both of you, but starting with Sfiso. Sfiso. Okay, Lisa Lee.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I would just like to clarify, or just to get a bit of a clarification
hello, am I audible enough?
Just wait a bit, Sfiso.
Am I audible enough?
We'll take you just now, Sfiso. Lisa Lee is on the platform. Lisa Lee.
Okay, thank you so much. So I would just like to clarify, and I would just like your DM to just to confirm the question that I have. So most courses in, I suppose, university and TVT colleges consist of 3 years of studies. Okay, so in a case of where it's 3 years and a student only was able to qualify for NSFAS for 2 years out of that 3-year course, and they want to pursue their studies to do a degree, is NSFAS going to cover the third year, which would then possibly be, which would automatically be the 4th year, but the student would have completed the 3rd year already?
Okay, did you get that, Kagiso?
Yes, I did get that, but I'm a bit confused about this. Yes, the student would have. Can you just repeat the question again for me?
Sure, no problem. So if the student had the course that the student was doing is 3 years, okay, but they did not qualify for NSFAS for the first year of that 3 years, they only managed to qualify for NSFAS for 2 years out of that three-year course. But now the student is wanting to pursue the degree next year. So I'm wondering if NSFAS is going to be covering the 3rd year or the 4th year, which then would be the degree. So the student is already doing the 3rd year, but now the student wants to do the degree next year. Is NSFAS going to cover that, or will they be able to cover the degree part of the course?
Do you want to take that? Do you get that, Kagiso?
Yes, I've got it. I've got it.
Oh, okay, sure.
So it means that here, DM, we're talking the end rule, the progression rule. So the end rule, the base of the end rule is, irrespective of whether you are on NSFAS before or you are on NSFAS later, when you apply, we calculate the number of the student within the higher education sector. The N plus rule says within 5 years, meaning that's plus 2 years. That's N plus 2. N plus 1 means 1 year. So even if a student was studying without NSFAS, but now they need NSFAS on their 2nd year, we are calculating that 1st year of not having NSFAS, because we are not calculating the year of funding, but rather the year within the higher education sector, which is linked with the year of progression. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So whether we fund NSFAS funded you for your 1st year, or whether NSFAS funded you starting with your 2nd year, or not, what we do is take into consideration the fact that you're doing a 3 or 4 year degree, and that if you are anywhere outside of that, you're not going to be funded. But if you are within that, as per the N plus rule, or in your technical speaker, so the progression rule, then the NSFAS will fund, that students. But I suggest, Lisa Lee, that you take this further with Kagiso, so that he gets more details in terms of this. Sfiso, and then I want to bring in Risuna from the career development services. Sfiso. Sfiso Kuhle Mahlangu. Okay, I think Sfiso has got his own issues with network. Maybe before Resuna, let's take Rising Gobeni.
Hi everyone. So my question pertains to NSFAS. I was on NSFAS on 2018 and 2019, right? I was studying at Nelson Mandela University. For the first year I was not funded by NSFAS, but however for the last 2 years I was funded. Then it happened that NSFAS did not pay the entire amount, and my degree was withheld, so I haven't been able to get it, even though I have completed all the requirements. I've been trying to contact NSFAS for a very long time now to try to see if that can get fixed. So I just wanted to ask if there is a possibility where NSFAS could actually pay up the remainder of the amount left, because it's just 8,000 rand. I don't even know how it happened that the whole amount was not paid. Then secondly, it pertains to the LLB degree. I then moved to Wits to do my LLB degree. Then when I got there, it happened that NSFAS was no longer funding um, students that are doing their LLB degree as a second degree. So now I just want to find what are the standings pertaining that in relations, obviously, to uh, the court case that happened. Will students now be funded, and what is the way forward?
Kagiso? Okay, we've
DM.
Yes.
Yes. Usually NSFAS pays fees according to what the institution would claim. So we don't do prepaid. So you go to class, the university then claim for you, and then we pay. And sometimes in this claiming process, you find that some of the funds are claimed when we do our adjustments. And it sounds pretty much like this is an issue of last quarter adjustments. So meaning this payment should probably be processed in the last quarter of the year. But I will know for sure if I get the ID number of the student, and then we take it from them. LLB, we are guided by the DHET rules. It's part of the qualification framework, which has been published to say certain number of degrees will not be recognized for funding by NSFAS. Thanks.
Risuna, you with Keta, our career services, and you'll also be doing a lot of outreach work and stuff. What's the role of Keta in
Yes,
all of this?
good afternoon, DM, and to all the listeners. Thank you very much. Yes, today we were out with the tax team doing a campaign on Apply Now, and we also put more emphasis and advocated on the for NSFAS for 2022, so that the community, the students, and any other person is well informed regarding the applications that will be opening up from the 2nd of November. And then we've also advocated more regarding the TVET colleges, which are still open. Some of them will be closing up tomorrow. So we are hoping that every second week from now on, we'll be doing and advocating the application processes for NSFAS. And we are very happy with the huge advancement and the achievement made, and also the changes that are there. We now able to assist our clients effectively. So when they call us regarding the NSFAS application, and we'll also be able to assist them in terms of the requirements with the system that's in place. So thank you very much for that, DM. We're very excited Then the next coming weeks, every second week, I hope Kahisho maybe we could partner through with Keta so that when we go out to the field to assist the communities, we are able to have them on board, NSFAS, and then we're advocating regarding the application process. So today, DM and the listeners, we're actually doing the campaign in Pretoria Central, where we went to a couple of places where there's more traffic. And with the level 1, we were able to, just have a 5-minute talk with everyone, just get to pass by. We were stopping people, it was crazy. So we really had fun.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, that's fine. That's good. That's our CATA, the career services. And I must emphasize that, if you baffled by what you want to study next year, go to the CATA website. They have a free WhatsApp line there, and some of the websites that they link you up to are 0 rated for you to get more information on any career that you want to study. If you want to share advice with someone who's doing their grade 12, that's the opportunity for you to do that. Just check out the Keta website. Thank you, Resuna. Mashishi, Fundi Mashishi, you've got a question?
Oh, yes. Mine is short. I just want to get clarity with regards to medicine. Like, if I want to pursue a career in medicine, do I qualify to get NSFAS? Because it's a 6-year course, unlike the ones that are usually funded by NSFAS, which are a 4-year course. Thanks.
Kahiso, yes or no?
Yes, medicine is included.
Of course, we need you, Dr. Mashishi. All the best with your medicine studies.
Okay, all right.
Well, of course, it's debatable. The minister would have strangled me for having called you a future doctor, because it's regarded as one of the undergrad degrees. But that's a debate for another day.
Yes.
Yeah, but all the best with your studies.
All
Khomotso,
right. Thanks.
question?
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes,
Sure.
good afternoon. Sure, thank you for the opportunity. I know this piece is about the applications for 2022, so I don't mean to be out of content. So I'm currently a student at UWC. I'm doing my final year, 4th year. So I've been funded by NFSA since 2018, but I don't know what happened this year. So they told me that my application is under review. I've been trying from May to get help, but without any success. So hence I came to this page to ask about that, like what's going to happen to us who are funded by NFSAS, but like haven't like being paid the office.
Okay, did you get that, Kahiso?
I did not hear him well. I just heard that this NSFAS has problems.
Yeah, he's been funded since 2018, isn't it, Khomotso? And you were told that your funding is under review. So you're very
for
uncertain.
2021.
For 2021.
Yes, for 2021. It's under review for 2021. But however, I received the funding in 2018, 2019, and 2020.
Okay.
Yes.
So for 2021,
so DM,
yeah. Talk to him.
DM, if
Talk to
I may,
Khomotso, yeah.
Okay. Okay, Khomotso, if I get you correctly, you have been studying with NSFAS since 2018.
2018, yes.
So the rule of NSFAS is that you don't have to apply again. So your funding should roll on until you finish your studies. So I want to understand what had happened. Did your income of the family change over the time?
The income did change. It didn't increase. So my parents are getting 25% less of their initial income. So that's what happened.
So did you submit the documents for income review for NSFAS?
Yes, I did submit everything that they required of me. So I submitted the documents, I think in May. I've been sending an email every month to NFSAS and also the financial aid office of the university, but I haven't been getting the help. So I'm
Okay.
worried because
So
this is my final year, and then I'm busy with my final exams of my degree. So I don't know if I'll be able to graduate or not due to this issue.
okay, let me take your details and then I'll address it offline.
Okay, splendid.
Okay,
Super.
thank you.
Mr. Chauke,
Afternoon.
you have a question, sir.
Yes, afternoon. I have two questions.
Okay.
Yes. So okay. The first question is, do you fund LLB? Because I want to get clarity whether do you find LLB, yes or no. Then the second question is, you said you will be able to give feedback within 48 hours. So I don't know, how is it possible to be able to give feedback within a short period of time? What criteria do you use to to make a decision whether a student qualifies to get NEPSAS or not without scrutinizing the document, checking and verify whether the student qualifies or not within 48 hours? What exactly, what criteria do you use to ensure that you make a decision within a very short period of time?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Kagiso, go ahead.
Thank you. So basically, any South African citizen who submits their information to any government entity, either for a means test for one thing or the other, that information remains disposal for government. So it's information that is already available. When you register at a high school to study to up to matric, that information is already available there. The point I'm making is NSFAS already knows, even before you apply, who you are and that you are going to need the funding. Unfortunately, we cannot just give people funding without them asking for it. So the application process is just to give you as an indication that you are asking for the information, but we will know that you qualify. How? One, if your parents have been receiving SASA for you, there's no way that your financial circumstances can change overnight just because you're going to university, unless parents win lotto. That's a different case. So that's why this time, if you are on SASA and you are that student whose details we have and you confirm it correctly, instantly you are on NSFAS. Where we cannot confirm instantly is if your details are not on SASA. It means that the income that you give us, it's somewhere else, but it's not within the state information that exists. Therefore, we require more time to verify. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, right. Okay. So
You
does it
go.
mean that,
Yes, Mr. Chauke?
yes? So if you don't qualify, does it mean that you are still going to check the source of income, or what is going to happen if you're not on SASA? Let us say maybe your parents they are working somewhere in a private company, but they still earn far below than the
Yeah,
NEPSAS.
there's a way of checking. I think if you've been with us since we started, part of the checks and balances includes checking the collective income of your household to check if it doesn't exceed 350,000, and on the basis of that, then you then qualify and will be granted funding. So there are systems in place for us to check that.
Oh, okay. Then the
Yeah.
LLP, fine. Okay, so do you sponsor the LLP? Do you,
LLB Kagiso? Do you sponsor LLB, Kagiso? Okay, we will come back to Kagiso just now. I want to take Funzo. Welcome back, Funzo.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. For me, today is not a question per se, but I just wanted to know if the Deputy Minister got all the details that he requested about the certificate issues.
About your certificate, yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's not because you're a Chelsea supporter that I got those details. But yes, we did get the details and we are working on it. You will get your certificate or diploma.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Sfiso, we're asking you for the last time if you...
Hello, am I audible
yes,
enough?
we can hear you now. Yep, speak.
Okay. I'm sorry for deviating a little bit. I have an issue. I'm a student at the University of Pretoria. I started studying at last year in 2020. I was using NSFAS, but in 2019 I applied for both because of lack of information and a little bit of ignorance. Bachelor of I continued at university with NS.
Yeah, Sfiso, your line is horrible. You'll have to fix your line because we can't hear you at all. But also what you can do is you can send me or Kagiso, preferably Kagiso, the details or your contacts, and then he can call you back just to find out what's the issue. We're trying you for the third time now and you keep on breaking. My apologies. We'll have to move on. And we've got a couple of questions, Kagiso, if you can just take some of those. People have tweeted. You open for partnerships, and one of the tweets here, I think I'm Matume, is saying that they have an organization called MA Edu, which has been assisting learners with applications for years now. And whether would you be willing to partner with them? Just note that. And then there is Bongani Ndlovu, who says he was not funded for this academic year based on incorrect information about household income, and he is a returning student. Does he need to reapply for funding? So that's the second question. I want you to take all of them all at once. And then the third one, Kagiso, is from Ntombi, who's asking if you will be funding someone who dropped out due to an illness. In 2021, they dropped out. Will you be funding them in 2022? And then the last one, Ki Henrietta, Ari, what happens if college took all the money from NSFAS but never paid over the allowance to the beneficiary? She's doing, or her cousin is doing NCV, and they haven't gotten a cent from the college. I guess this one we'll have to get more details, so that we're able to help the cousin of Henrietta. But did you get all the questions, Kagiso?
Yes, I've got three. The first one, if you can just repeat it for me, DM.
It's
First one.
I think what I'll do is I'll just copy you this. It's an organization, NGO, that's helping students with applications, and they asking if you can if you're open to partnerships with them.
Okay. All right, DM. Partnerships are always welcomed. The new board is working on a strategy of ensuring that private sector and civil society that wants to join hands, there's a framework for that. I must say that we have previously worked with NGOs during our outreach campaign. There's an MOU that needs to be signed by two parties. One of the things we got against as NSFAS is that whoever we partner with needs to abide by our protocol and rules, because our applications are not for sale, it's free. We can't charge any applicant anything. So we want any partner who comes on board to know that that's how we do our partnership. But they are welcome and they can reach out to me.
Okay.
I will be able to put together the protocol and the process that they need to follow. The other student who is funded, who is not funded due to incorrect information, that information can be sent to us and then we can correct. If that student was not funded this year, the system says not funded, the student must apply again. But if the system says you're funded, but later on it has another status of submitting information, it means that case is not closed.
Okay.
But if the case is closed as not funded, the student must apply. The student who dropped out due to illness must apply.
Okay.
because appeals period has closed for this year. So if maybe this was still during the time of appeals, we would advise the student to appeal at the institution, but that boat has sailed and there is no way that we will be reviewing what had happened.
Okay.
So the student will need to apply again.
Okay.
And sometimes the student may try to apply, but the system may not allow that student to apply. In that case, it means there is still an active case. Then the student needs to inform us of that so that we can correct it through the call center.
Yeah. Okay.
The college holding money and not paying allowances, we hear a lot of
Yeah.
those, but ideally it is against policy for colleges not to pay allowances, especially students whose funds may be cleared up towards the end of the year. You'd find that at the beginning of the year, the students ought to have received allowances, and some institutions don't do that. I don't have a real answer on how we resolve this one, but it can be something that I can share in the next space, how we really,
Okay.
recourse for such students. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Wasim,
Thanks.
so if someone want to get hold of the NYDA, just to find out where your offices are and all of that, how do we do that?
Thanks, Deputy Minister. So the offices, the 36 offices that will be contributing to the NSFAS partnership are all loaded on the NYDA website. You'll see a special link for the NSFAS partnership. But what we're also doing is creating an opportunity card on the National Pathway Management Network, the SAYouth.mobi site, to which the Department of Higher Education and Training is a signatory to the partnership.
Okay. And then when they get there, obviously they'll get a whole range of a bouquet of services that the NYDA provides, and get to know more about the NYDA. Now, Risuna, if we want to get hold of Keta, what do we do?
All right. Thank you, DM. You can, they can send a please call me to 072-204-5056 or contact us on 086-999-0123. We are currently not allowing walk-ins until further notice. We will definitely announce once that has been allowed for people to visit us at 123 Francis Bart.
So WhatsApp and all of that, you good to go.
On our they can go to our website on career help at dhet.gov.za. There we have a live chat.
A live chat with a robot. Okay, that's good. Now, Kagiso, I want you to take the next minute or so. So I'm here and I want to challenge obviously everyone who's on today's space, who knows that the NSFAS applications are open, to help at least one matric or grade 12 students with their application. So if I walk out of here, the office, and I meet someone who says they are a grade 12 student and I want to help them, what do I do? Or if someone wants to apply remotely, they don't have to go to to the NYDA office or anything of the sort. What do they do?
Firstly, is to encourage them to make sure the person who's helping them is the person they know and they trust.
Yes.
Because if the person uses their uh, their own details and disappears, that student can still in a later stage have access to the student's account, which is a risk for us and for the student. So you do it, but make sure your details are your details, not the person who's
Yes.
helping you. The second
Yes.
thing that you need to do your part as a helper, make sure that the student has copies of their ID, and that's one. To make sure the student has a email address, or has a working cell phone number. All these things, especially email address and a cell phone number, are the basic requirement before you can even start the application. To do the application, you go to www.nsfast.org.za. You will see on your top right hand corner there is a button called My NSFAS. You click on it, and then a page will come that will give you that will welcome you to my NSFAS student portal. And there will be two options: to sign in or to register. If you have not been on this, you register. To register, you need a copy of your South African ID or an abridged birth certificate. And then you accept the terms of reference. You put in your ID number, first name, surname, email address, and cell phone number. That's important, DM. Those two will then help you to complete the rest of the application. There's an OTP number that will be sent to the cell phone number that you put
That's
there.
there.
So if you are going to using your mom or your brother's cell phone number and is not with you as you apply, that will prevent you from applying, because the OTP number will be sent to that cell phone number. But I think in short, DM, we should encourage those that are helping to make sure that they re-emphasize the issue of keeping the login details correctly, and supporting platforms. We have our website. We have our
You said the website is zero rated by one of the telecoms companies.
Yes, Vodacom and
Vodacom and MTN.
We are struggling with others. They have not expressed interest.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, so if you're a Vodacom user, you can go onto the site. You don't need data for you to access the NSFAS. So that's it for today. And I think, so you see the need, because all, without exception, all of the calls that we received today were about students who are battling with their NSFAS for one reason or another. So we'll have to do this again. But next week, we are looking at the post-grad funding. What opportunities are available for postgraduate funding? We're bringing in the National Research Fund. We're also bringing in from our department the international relations people who are going to tell you about the possibilities of studying abroad, and what funding is available. We'll also bring a couple of private sector initiatives who have taken responsibility and have some initiatives to fund students who are regarded as the missing middle, that is, those whose household income exceeds 350,000, but they still cannot afford. We'll bring those also on board. So next week we're discussing post-grad funding and the missing middle and what opportunities are available, or including international funding. So we'll be putting together at least most, if not all, of the funding that is available in government and everywhere else, in whatever space that you can think of. And we'll be discussing those here on Off the Cuff with myself, Buti Manamela. But thank you very much for joining us today. See you next week. Bye.
Bye,
Thank you,
everyone.
GM, and thank you to all the guests for agreeing to join us for this afternoon space. We've come to the end. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.